How 50-50 custody rules can create instability and stress for children who have to constantly switch between two homes and adjust to different routines and expectations. Many parents and courts may think that 50-50 custody is the fairest and best option for children after a divorce or separation. However, this arrangement can have negative effects on children's emotional and physical well-being, especially for very young children or those who have experienced abuse or violence. One of the main challenges of 50-50 custody is the constant disruption and relocation that children have to endure. Imagine having to pack your bags every few days, move between two different houses, and adapt to two different sets of rules, schedules, and expectations. This can be confusing, exhausting, and stressful for children who may not have a sense of stability or belonging in either home. They may also lose contact with their friends, relatives, or activities in one neighborhood or school. Another problem with 50-50 custody is the potential for role reversal and emotional pressure that children may face with one or both parents. Some parents may be emotionally needy, helpless, or impotent, and rely on their children to meet their own emotional needs. This can create an unhealthy and inappropriate relationship, where children feel responsible for their parents' happiness or well-being. They may also feel guilty or conflicted about spending time with the other parent, or fear losing their parents' love or approval. Moreover, 50-50 custody can be harmful for children who have witnessed or suffered abuse or violence from one parent. Forcing them to spend equal time with an unfit or dangerous parent can expose them to further risk of harm or trauma. It can also undermine their trust and safety in the other parent, who may not be able to protect them or intervene in case of emergency. Therefore, 50-50 custody rules are not always in the best interest of children. They can create instability and stress for children who have to constantly switch between two homes and adjust to different routines and expectations. They can also put children in situations where they have to cope with emotional pressure, role reversal, or abuse from one or both parents. Instead of imposing a blanket 50-50 custody rule, courts and parents should consider the individual needs and preferences of each child, as well as the quality and safety of each parent-child relationship. One of the main drawbacks of 50-50 custody rules is that they can ignore the individual needs and preferences of children who may have a stronger attachment or relationship with one parent over the other. For example, some children may feel more comfortable or secure with one parent who has been their primary caregiver, or who shares their interests, values, or personality. Forcing these children to spend equal time with both parents may cause them to feel anxious, resentful, or alienated from the parent they prefer. Another problem with 50-50 custody rules is that they can disregard the challenges that some children may face, such as special needs, mental health issues, or academic difficulties. For instance, some children may have physical or developmental disabilities that require specialized care or support from one parent who has more expertise, resources, or availability. Other children may have emotional or behavioral problems that need consistent therapy or medication from one parent who has better access to mental health services. Still, other children may have learning difficulties that demand more attention or guidance from one parent who has more educational background or involvement. Splitting these children's time equally between both parents may disrupt their routines, compromise their care, or hinder their progress. Therefore, 50-50 custody rules can be harmful for children who have different needs and preferences that are better met by one parent over the other. Instead of imposing a rigid and arbitrary formula, custody decisions should be based on the best interests of each child, taking into account their unique circumstances, wishes, and well-being. 50-50 custody rules are often seen as a fair and balanced way to share parenting time and responsibilities after a divorce or separation. However, these rules can also expose children to potential harm or abuse if one of the parents is unfit, irresponsible, violent, or manipulative, and if the legal system fails to protect them or intervene in time. Some of the risks and disadvantages of 50-50 custody rules for children are disruption and instability. For very young children, exact 50-50 custody makes for a disrupted life. They have to constantly switch between two homes, two sets of rules, two different environments, and two different relationships. This can cause confusion, anxiety, insecurity, and attachment issues for the children. Long travel times. Maintaining 50-50 custody becomes harder the farther parents live from each other. Children may have to spend a lot of time commuting between their parents' homes, which can affect their school performance, social life, extracurricular activities, and sleep quality. Unfit parent. Joint custody is inappropriate for a parent who has a history of domestic violence, substance abuse, mental illness, criminal behavior, or neglect. Children who are exposed to such a parent may suffer physical, emotional, or psychological harm. They may also witness or experience abuse from the parent or their new partner. Parental conflict. Parents who have a high level of conflict or poor communication may not be able to co-parent effectively in a 50-50 custody arrangement. They may use the children as pawns, manipulate them, badmouth the other parent, or undermine their authority. This can cause stress, loyalty conflicts, guilt, anger, and resentment for the children. Legal system failure. The legal system may not always recognize or respond to the signs of abuse or neglect by one of the parents in a 50-50 custody situation. The courts may favor joint custody as a default option without considering the individual circumstances of each case. The Child Protection Services may not intervene promptly or adequately when there are allegations or evidence of harm. The children may not have a voice or an advocate in the legal process. These are some of the ways that 50-50 custody rules can put children in danger. While joint custody can work well for some families, it is not a one-size-fits-all solution. It is important to consider the best interests and needs of each child and each parent before deciding on a custody arrangement.